You've probably heard this 100 times before. Eat clean, exercise daily, and stay healthy. Sounds like solid advice, right? But what if I told you that for men over 60, following that advice exactly as it's given might be one of the biggest reasons your energy, drive, and erections have slowly faded away? That's right, sometimes the so-called healthy lifestyle can quietly work against you. A few years ago, I had a patient, let's call him Tom, 68 years old, retired school principal, proud grandfather of 4. Tom came to see me frustrated and embarrassed. Dr. Easton, he said, I'm doing everything right. I eat healthy, salads, low-fat meals, power smoothies, I walk every morning, but I still feel exhausted. My desire is gone, and my erections are half of what they used to be. Now, Tom wasn't lazy, and he wasn't careless. He was disciplined. But what he didn't realize, and what so many men over 60 don't realize, is that the version of a healthy lifestyle promoted for younger men or for weight loss can actually drain testosterone, weaken blood flow, and kill erections in older men. I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and I've spent over 30 years working with men just like Tom, good, smart, well-intentioned men who find themselves trapped by habits that were supposed to keep them young, but instead leave them tired, foggy, and frustrated in the bedroom. Let's unpack what I call the healthy lifestyle trap. It starts with a message that's been drilled into us since the 1980s. Avoid fat, eat light, and do plenty of cardio. For decades, that sounded like the ticket to longevity. But here's the twist. Testosterone, the very hormone that fuels your mood, motivation, and erections, depends on healthy fats and moderate stress on your muscles, not endless calorie cutting and low-fat eating. When I looked at Tom's routine, it was textbook healthy. He started his mornings with oatmeal and skim milk, had a chicken salad for lunch, and ate a low-fat dinner with lots of veggies. He jogged 3 miles every morning. But here's the problem. Tom's diet was practically devoid of saturated fats and cholesterol, both crucial building blocks for testosterone production. His exercise routine, while great for the heart, was overtaxing his stress system and raising cortisol, the hormone that kills testosterone when it stays elevated. Now, I'm not saying you should throw away your running shoes or start eating greasy burgers. Far from it. What I am saying is that men over 60 need a different kind of healthy, one that restores hormonal balance rather than depletes it. So I ran a few simple tests on Tom. His testosterone levels were low, far lower than they should have been for his age. His cortisol was high, and his sleep pattern was shallow. That combination explained everything. Low energy, poor recovery, weaker erections. His body was in constant stress mode. That's the trap so many men fall into. You're doing what you were told to do, eating clean, staying active, but your body at 60 doesn't process things the way it did at 30. What once helped you burn fat and build muscle now signals the body to slow down reproduction mode, and reproduction mode is where testosterone and sexual function live. When I explained this to Tom, he looked at me and said, "So doc, are you saying my morning jog is making me less of a man?" I smiled and said, "Not exactly, but the way you're doing it is making your body think you're in survival mode, not vitality mode." See, in survival mode, your body prioritizes energy for basic function, keeping the brain sharp, maintaining blood sugar. It pulls back from anything non-essential, like sex. Erections are the first thing to go when your body thinks resources are low. If you're nodding your head right now, if this sounds like you, let me know down below. Just type yes in the comments. I read through them personally, and your feedback helps me shape every video we make here. And if you haven't yet, make sure you tap the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. I'll be sharing more on this exact topic, including what kind of exercise and diet actually reignites performance after 60. Now, back to Tom. Once he understood what was happening, we made a few small changes. First, we cut back on his daily cardio and replaced it with shorter, more intense strength sessions, just 20 minutes 3 times a week. Second, we added in healthy fats, things like eggs, olive oil, avocado, and a small portion of red meat twice a week. And we made sure he was getting deep, restorative sleep instead of burning the candle at both ends. Within 6 weeks, his energy started to return. He told me, "Doc, I actually feel like getting up and doing things again. And, well, the mornings are different now," he said with a grin. You can guess what he meant. What's remarkable is that Tom didn't need medication. He just needed to stop following the wrong kind of healthy lifestyle. And that's the key takeaway for you today. What's considered healthy for the general population may not be healthy for you anymore. After 60, your metabolism, hormones, and recovery capacity all change. Your body needs nourishment, not deprivation. It needs strength, not punishment. It needs calm, not constant cardio stress. Now, before we wrap up this part, let me leave you with something I tell every man in my clinic. If you're constantly exhausted despite doing everything right, it's not your fault, it's your strategy. You've been given advice meant for younger men with different bodies and different hormonal systems. You're not broken, you're just following the wrong map. When Tom came back to my office a few weeks later, he had that look in his eye again, the kind I'd seen in hundreds of men over the years who finally realized their problem wasn't age, but imbalance. He said, "Dr. Easton, I thought I was eating for health, but I was starving my manhood." And that right there is where most men unknowingly fall into the healthy lifestyle trap. See, we've been conditioned to believe that less is always better. Less fat, less salt, less red meat, fewer calories. But when you reach your 60s, your body no longer thrives on restriction. It needs restoration. And that's what I want to walk you through today, how the modern idea of clean eating and fitness can quietly rob your testosterone, weaken your circulation, and drain your vitality faster than time itself. Let's start with food, because that's where the trap begins. Most men over 60 have spent decades following what they thought was a heart-healthy diet. Cereal for breakfast, sandwiches or salads for lunch, grilled chicken and vegetables for dinner. But here's the problem. That's a diet designed to lower cholesterol. And testosterone is made from cholesterol. When you strip fat out of your diet, you strip away the building blocks of your masculine chemistry. The result? You may lose a few pounds, but you'll lose energy, muscle, and sexual function too. I remember telling Tom, "Your body can't produce testosterone out of lettuce and low-fat yogurt." He laughed, but the truth hit home. For years, he'd believed his oatmeal and salad routine was keeping him young. In reality, it was signaling to his body that there wasn't enough fuel to prioritize strength or reproduction. So what did we do differently? We reintroduced fats, but the right kinds. We added in pasture-raised eggs, a handful of nuts, olive oil, avocados, and yes, real butter instead of those processed light spreads. Tom started enjoying red meat twice a week, and within a month, his testosterone levels began to rise naturally. His wife told me, "He's smiling again, and not just because he feels better, he's acting like himself again." Now, here's the interesting part. Many men in their 60s have also been overdoing fiber and plant-based diets without realizing that excess fiber can actually bind to testosterone and remove it from the body before it's absorbed. So while it's important to eat vegetables for digestion and heart health, it's equally important to include enough fat and protein to keep hormones stable. And it's not just diet. The other half of this trap is exercise. How many of you have been told to keep moving, get those steps in, never skip cardio? It's all well-intentioned advice, but too much cardio at this age can spike cortisol and burn away the very muscle that keeps your testosterone levels healthy. Your body reads long-distance cardio as stress. It's great for training the heart, but it tells the body to conserve energy, not build it. When Tom swapped his daily 3-mile jog for light strength training and a few brisk walks, his body finally relaxed. His sleep deepened, his mood improved, and within weeks, he told me his morning reaction had returned stronger than in years. His wife joked that she was considering sending me a thank you card. That's when I explained to him the principle that every man over 60 should know. Your body's ability to perform, in every sense of the word, depends on balance between testosterone and cortisol. Testosterone builds up your drive, energy, and confidence. Cortisol tears it down. And every time you undereat, overexercise or stay stressed for too long, you tip that balance toward cortisol dominance, the silent killer of masculine health. So if you're doing everything right, but still feeling drained, foggy, or uninterested, your problem might not be aging. It might be that your lifestyle is too healthy, at least by outdated standards. Let's pause for a moment here. If this is resonating with you, if you've ever felt like all your effort isn't giving you the results you deserve, just type yes in the comments. I personally go through them, and it helps me understand what men like you are experiencing out there. And while you're at it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Every week, we talk about the real truths of aging, intimacy, and vitality, things most doctors don't say out loud. Now, back to Tom's story, because it didn't stop with diet and exercise. One of the biggest game changers for him was sleep. Tom used to brag about being a 6 hours and go kind of guy, but after 60, that kind of sleep deprivation wreaks havoc on hormone production. Most testosterone is made in the early hours of the morning, around 4 to 6 a.m., and if you're not getting enough deep sleep, you're missing that window every night. I told him, "Tom, your body isn't getting the chance to refill its tank." We made some small changes: no late-night screen time, no alcohol before bed, and a simple magnesium supplement. Within 2 weeks, he said, "I'm dreaming again." That's a good sign. It means your brain is reaching deeper sleep cycles where testosterone is made. And sure enough, his energy in the mornings reflected that. It wasn't long before he noticed his confidence creeping back, that feeling of wanting to engage, not just get through the day. That's what I want for you too. Because I've seen it hundreds of times. When a man in his 60s finally breaks free from the healthy lifestyle myths, the low-fat foods, the endless cardio, the restrictive eating, something almost magical happens. His eyes brighten, his posture changes, his motivation returns, and in many cases, his relationship deepens, because he's no longer just there, he's present. Now, you might be wondering, Dr. Easton, does this mean I should just start eating steak and skipping my walks? Not at all. What it means is you need to shift your definition of health from less to balance. Your meals should nourish, not deprive. Your exercise should rebuild, not punish. And your rest should be sacred, not optional. That's how men over 60 keep their vitality alive. When I look back at Tom's transformation, it wasn't about adding a pill or a fancy supplement. It was about undoing decades of misinformation. He didn't need to change who he was. He just needed to give his body what it had been missing. And before we close this part, I want you to remember something that Tom told me near the end of his treatment. I thought I was getting old. Turns out, I was just running on empty. When Tom finally understood that balance, not restriction, was the key to reclaiming his energy, the real transformation began. But even after fixing his diet and exercise, there was one more obstacle standing in his way. And it's one I see almost every day in my clinic. He was still unknowingly doing a few healthy things that were sabotaging his hormones before his day even started. These were habits so deeply ingrained in his routine that he didn't think twice about them. But once we addressed them, it was like flipping a switch. Let's talk about those hidden traps, because chances are you might be doing the same things. The first one, the morning fast. You've probably heard the term intermittent fasting. It's become the darling of health circles. Skip breakfast, delay eating until noon, and your body burns fat better. Sounds good in theory, but here's the truth. For men in their 60s, that fasting window often becomes a stress window. When you wake up, your body's natural cortisol level is already high. It's your built-in wake-up hormone. If you then go hours without eating, your body keeps producing more cortisol to keep you alert. And as we talked about earlier, cortisol is testosterone's worst enemy. Tom was proud of his intermittent fasting. He'd say, "Doc, I haven't eaten before noon in months. I feel disciplined." But that discipline was costing him his morning testosterone surge, the time of day when your levels should be highest. So we changed it.
I asked him to start his morning with a small protein-rich meal, something simple like a boiled egg and a slice of avocado. Within a week, his energy felt steadier. He said, "I'm not crashing by 10 a.m. anymore, and I actually want to get up." You see, for younger men, fasting can work because their hormones are still robust. But for men over 60, it's like trying to start an old car on an empty tank. The system needs a little fuel to wake up properly. Now, the second trap is the no salt rule. For decades, doctors warned that salt raises blood pressure, and yes, in excess it can. But here's the forgotten truth. Your body needs sodium to maintain proper blood flow and nerve transmission, especially to your muscles and, yes, to your sexual organs. When men over 60 cut salt too low, blood volume drops, circulation weakens, and you may feel lightheaded or fatigued. But more subtly, reduced sodium also means weaker nitric oxide production, the very chemical that supports firm erections. I remember explaining this to Tom, and he looked shocked. He said, "You mean my low-sodium soup is hurting my blood flow?" I nodded. It's not the salt that's the enemy, it's the processed salt. You need minerals, not chemicals. We switched him to mineral-rich sea salt, just a small pinch on his meals. It wasn't long before his blood pressure actually improved, because when the body isn't stressed or dehydrated, it doesn't need to hold on to pressure artificially. Now, there's the overhydration myth. You've probably heard the advice, drink 8 glasses of water a day. It's well-meaning, but for many older men, overhydration can flush out electrolytes and make you feel weaker. Remember, testosterone and vitality depend on balance. Tom was drinking water constantly, even when he wasn't thirsty. I told him, listen to your body, not the bottle. When he cut back slightly and added electrolytes, simple ones like magnesium and potassium, his energy stopped dipping in the afternoons. It's small changes like these that make a massive difference. Now, one of the biggest traps of all, the one that silently kills erections faster than age, is sleeping too warm. Most men don't realize this, but testosterone production peaks during the deepest stage of sleep, and that process happens best when your core body temperature drops slightly. Tom used to sleep under a thick blanket, with the thermostat cranked up to 75 degrees. He'd wake up groggy, sweating, and unrefreshed. I told him to drop the room temperature to 68 degrees and wear lighter sleepwear. Within days, he told me, "Doc, I'm sleeping like a teenager again." That deeper sleep didn't just make him feel rested, it gave his testosterone a nightly boost, naturally. And here's something else. Many men make the mistake of finishing the night with a glass of wine or a nightcap, thinking it helps them unwind. But alcohol suppresses REM sleep and disrupts hormone production. For men in their 60s, even one drink before bed can reduce testosterone the next morning by up to 20%. Tom switched to herbal tea instead, and he noticed within a week that his morning alertness and performance were sharper than they'd been in years. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Dr. Easton, this all sounds too simple. Could these little habits really make that big of a difference? And I'll tell you this, with men over 60, it's not about big, dramatic changes. It's about removing the small daily mistakes that keep your body in stress mode.
When Tom returned for his final follow-up a few months later, I barely recognized him. The tiredness in his eyes was gone, replaced by that quiet, confident energy you see in a man who feels alive again. He said, "Dr. Easton, it's like someone turned the lights back on." And that's when I knew he'd escaped the healthy lifestyle trap for good. So let's walk through what that looks like in everyday life, because the goal here isn't just to fix a problem, it's to build a way of living that keeps your energy, hormones, and vitality strong well into your 70s and beyond. For men over 60, the secret isn't about adding more effort. It's about living in alignment with what your body actually needs at this stage of life. And once you understand that, everything else, your sleep, mood, focus, and even performance starts to fall into place. Let's start with the morning. The first thing I told Tom to do every day was fuel, not fast. When he woke up, he had a small meal that sent the right signal to his body. You're safe, you're nourished. That could be something like 2 boiled eggs, half an avocado, and a little coffee or tea. That combination gives steady energy, supports testosterone, and prevents cortisol spikes. The idea is simple. At 60 and beyond, you're not trying to run your body on empty, you're trying to keep it in balance. After breakfast, Tom would go for a 20-minute walk just to move his joints and get blood flowing. Not a jog, not a workout, just movement. Then, 3 times a week, he'd do short, strength-focused sessions, light weights, slow and controlled movements, focusing on muscle tension, not exhaustion. See, the key for men at this age isn't burning calories, it's waking up testosterone. Every time you challenge your muscles, even gently, you send your body a message, stay strong, stay masculine. That signal is powerful, and it's what keeps your drive and erections alive. Now, let's talk about food through the day. Tom learned to build his meals around protein, healthy fats, and color. That means good cuts of meat or fish, olive oil or butter, and a variety of vegetables. No starving, no cutting out food groups, no low-fat tricks. And one of the biggest changes? He started eating enough. So many men at this age undereat because they think eating less keeps them slim. But undereating tells your body there's not enough fuel to produce testosterone or maintain muscle. It's like trying to start a car with no gas. It doesn't matter how clean the engine is, it won't go anywhere. Tom's dinners became hearty, satisfying meals. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, maybe a small glass of red wine on weekends. And he'd sleep like a baby afterward. Speaking of sleep, that's your body's repair shop. I can't stress this enough. If you're not getting deep sleep, you're not producing enough testosterone. It's during those dark, quiet hours that your body rebuilds and resets. Tom made a few simple changes. He dimmed lights after 9 p.m., turned the thermostat down to 68 degrees, and stayed away from his phone before bed. Instead, he'd read or stretch lightly. Within days, he noticed something. He wasn't waking up in the middle of the night anymore. And when he did wake up in the morning, he felt ready. That's the difference between existing and living. And here's something most men overlook. Your mindset is as vital as your diet or exercise. When a man believes he's past his prime, his body listens. But when he starts living like someone with potential left to unlock, his body responds in kind. Tom told me something that stuck. Doc, I used to think my best days were behind me. Now I feel like I'm just learning how to take care of myself the right way. That's the shift. I see it over and over again. When men stop punishing themselves with restrictive diets, endless cardio, and guilt for slowing down, they start healing. Their bodies begin to trust them again, and that's when real health returns. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about rejecting healthy habits. It's about redefining them. Healthy, for a man over 60, means eating enough, moving wisely, resting deeply, and staying calm. It's not about running marathons or counting every calorie. It's about creating conditions for your body to produce testosterone naturally and keep blood flow strong. When you do that, when you stop chasing the younger man's version of health, everything changes. Your energy rises, your confidence grows, and yes, your performance improves, not because of magic pills or rigid discipline, but because you're finally working with your body, not against it. If you're watching this right now and you've been doing everything right, but still feel like something's missing, maybe it's not your age. Maybe it's just time to rewrite what healthy really means for you. I'd love to hear from you. If this message resonates, if you've been stuck in that healthy but tired loop, just type yes in the comments below. I read every single one, and your stories help shape what we talk about here. And if you found value in this, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps get this message to more men who need to hear it, men who still have so much life left to live. Before we wrap up, let's circle back to Tom. When I asked him what the biggest change was, he said something simple. I stopped treating my body like a machine. I started treating it like a partner.